All right, what's going on, everybody? Ryan Ogren here with MoneyMake Marketing, and today we're going to be going through the gatekeeper wall. So a lot of manufacturers, a lot of CPG brands, consumer packaged goods brands, a lot of folks that are targeting enterprise B2B companies fall into this trap all the time. Us specifically, we've been able to get around it as far as in the Fortune 500 in oil and gas and power infrastructure, but also with major retail brands and major retailers. Just recently, we closed it's a multiple six-figure deal for one of our clients, and they expect at least seven figures from that deal in 2026 and going into 2027. It's 2026 as of the time of recording this video. So the biggest complaint that our clients had at the very beginning working with us, before they were actually working with us, was because they couldn't get past the actual gatekeeper. So if you think about old school B2B, I'm just about to sneeze. Excuse me. Hopefully I'll edit that out. Hopefully someone will edit that out. But anyways, if you look at the old school B2B outreach and how it actually works and what manufacturers and these major brands would do, or these companies that are trying to get into these major brands would actually do, it's essentially they would cold call the front desk, they would submit forms through their website, they would even email people the emails that they could find on their website, emails from tools that they've be able to get. And the problem is there's always a gatekeeper, and each company put a gatekeeper in front for a reason. They wanted the gatekeeper to vet all information or all inbound inquiries so they could actually be able to sort through who's soliciting and who's not. So that's essentially what happens. And so a lot of these companies, they can't get to the gatekeeper, or they can't get past the gatekeeper. They can't get to the decision maker. So the biggest problem that we see, or one of the biggest problems that we see, is they can't get to decision maker. And that's the best part about our strategy in cold outreach and what we do, is we go directly to your decision maker and we get them all the information that they need to be able to make a decision, or get them the information to actually start working on their beliefs and get to start believing the things that we need them to actually believe to then get them to convert and close for us. So let's just backtrack. The gatekeeper wall essentially has morphed into, if you're still doing cold calling, if you're still emailing, if you're still doing website form submissions, then you are way behind the ball. But it also is transformed into people just doing LinkedIn outreach and emailing just generic emails, or emails that they haven't vetted fully. Or if they're using an agency, the agency's not actually doing anything to look up that particular lead and personalize anything along the lines of how the offers that what you're pitching them is going to fit with that particular lead. So I'll explain all of this in a second, but let's just boil it all down to they can't get to the decision maker. That's the problem, okay? If we look at the gatekeeper wall, if let's say they're doing cold calling, that's one strategy. Cold calling the front desk, or emailing, or website contact forms, or let's just say they have an inexperienced BDR or SDR that's emailing, I guess, like account based on LinkedIn. Let me backtrack. Account based. So account based just means company. So if anybody says we do account based marketing, essentially what they're doing is they go and they reach out, they look up the whole company, they scrape all the leads from that particular list, and they figure out who from that company they want to get in touch with. And then if one person doesn't get in touch with them, then they go to the next person, they go to the next person. So that's what a lot of BDRs and SDRs will do. There's a lot of problems with this, and I'll break them down, but let's just say emailing account-based, LinkedIn account-based. So that's the big thing. And then because of this, that list strategy. So those are like the two big categories. So one, let's just say your BDRs, SDRs are calling the front desk, or they're calling leads that they scrape. They'll go scrape an actual list, and then they'll call those phone numbers. Those phone numbers then put them into an actual gatekeeper, or they answer the call and then they say, yeah, hey, talk to this person, and then they push you to the gatekeeper. So that's one way, and usually it's 2026. If you're still cold calling in 2026, people just don't really want to answer the phone. People don't even want to get on calls. So if you call them out of the blue and just take their time, interrupt their day, you better be really good and have a really relevant reason for them to do that. And then the other side is inexperienced BDRs or SDRs. They just go email, they'll go scrape a list off of an email software like Apollo or Seamless or Zoom Info or whatever you guys are using. They'll scrape all the leads from one particular account, and they'll do this for a bunch of different companies. And then same thing on LinkedIn, they'll just do this for a bunch of different companies, and they'll reach out to one person, and then if that person doesn't respond, they'll go to the next and then the next. And the problem with this strategy is they still are not getting to the decision maker. And if they are reaching out to the decision maker, then and they're still having to go to other people, they're just not getting that decision maker to actually respond, which means they aren't using the correct strategy to do. So both of these actually manifest the main problem of the video, which is they can't get to the decision maker. Sorry for the long intro because I wanted to explain how this applies in both scenarios, because the gatekeeper wall it manifests itself pretty much essentially as you just can't get to your decision maker. So that's the initial problem. So how do we actually solve it? All right. And the way we solve it is it's a double-pronged solution. Okay. So let me just write this solution. All right. So the solution, and we know this is a solution because we get the decision maker to respond. If you don't know who your decision maker is at a particular company, then you need to do research on that. And the best way to do that, if you have no idea, if you're watching this and you're like, look, I don't know what the job titles are. If I ask you a question, and here's a great test. If I just said to you right now, what are the job titles of your decision maker? And let me backtrack. Let me give you an actual question test. Okay. If I came to you right now, hypothetically, of course, I said, hey, I'll give you $1,000 right now if you can tell me the exact job title of your best client as it reads on LinkedIn right now. Could you do it? And if you couldn't, then that is the issue. So you need to actually understand that. One of our clients, they're going after visual merchandising. That was the job titles. They didn't actually have a visual merchandising keyword in any of their job titles at all. They were going after like store development, store fixtures, all kinds of different things. And so that is very important to understand. So if you don't know what job title is actually your decision maker, AI is a great tool for this, but also a great way to do this is go back through your best customers, your best clients, best customers, and just look them up on LinkedIn, the folks that you actually deal with, your decision makers there because you know them, and you'll start to compile, just put them into an Excel spreadsheet or a Google sheet, and you'll start to see their job titles on LinkedIn, and you can start to formulate your outreach. We do this with all of our clients. It's a great way to start and get off on the right foot. So first, to get the decision maker to respond, first thing you need to know who the decision maker is. The next thing is you go into actual list building mode. We have this pretty much automated now where we can go out and find the entire target market and scrape every single lead in that particular target market. And then we just tell it, hey, the decision makers have these job titles. And if it doesn't have these job titles, it's going to be these job titles at each company. And each company size will have different roles for each thing. If you think a company that has 500 employees is going to be different than a company that has 10,000, because there's going to be different departments and there's going to be more workload and there's going to be more job titles at the 10,000 versus 500. So once we actually get the decision maker, the goal is to get the decision maker to respond. The very first thing we need, just to boil it down, number one, is who is decision maker. I already talked about how we go about finding that. We go back to your actual jobs or the actual customers you have, look them up, their decision makers, look them up on LinkedIn and your email platforms. You'll find them, you'll see their job titles, okay? Then you go into list building mode, number 2, and we are just matching those job titles, okay? That's pretty much it. Match those job titles. So then now your inexperienced BDRs and SDRs where they have bad list building, you essentially just destroy that. And it gets a little bit more advanced here because once again, like I said, some of your companies in your target market, they have 10,000 employees versus 500 versus 100. They're going to have different job titles in each company, but the same roles and responsibilities exist. So it just means there's a different job title that's handling those roles and responsibilities. So we'll actually segment out by the job title, the number of employees, so whatever it is, and we'll do a full analysis if we worked with you guys or if you guys want to do this yourself. You go through and you look at, all right, these are the companies that are at 10,000 employees. These are the companies that are at 500. What are the similar job titles here? What are the similar job titles here? Usually they're the same or at least very close if they are similar companies in similar industries in the same industry. And then you'll see, all right, we need to target for this range of employees, we need to target these job titles. For this range, we need to target these job titles. So that's a really good way to do it. And then after you go through list building, this is something that we love to do, especially on LinkedIn. Email, you can get away with not doing this, but LinkedIn, if you really want to ramp, and this is a huge part of our ROI because LinkedIn has outreach limits, okay? And the way we do this is we actually verify each lead, okay? So verify each lead. Verify each lead for message fit, okay? So I'm sure you probably have gotten messages on LinkedIn that just are not relevant to you at all. And those people suck at outreach. And that is an issue because each person that is messaging you on LinkedIn or has already outreached to you on LinkedIn, they spent like an outreach message, a connection request, or in-mail, or an open email, a premium email. They sent something to you and they spent that time and they can't get that back. And there's outreach limits on LinkedIn. So we can do 200 connection requests per week through LinkedIn. The normal person can do 100 if you have Sales Navigator. So 100 connection requests per week. So that's 400 connection requests per week. So that's people you can connect you can ask if they want to connect. Then you can do 500 group messages, people that you're in the same group with, but are not connected to. So join a bunch of these big groups and you can sort out the group based off of their job title and Sales Navigator. That's a great way to do it. So you can do 500 group messages per month, I believe. It might be per week, but I think it's per month. And then you get 200 plus or minus open InMails, which means open profiles. So if they have their profile set to open, you can message 200 plus of those. If you message somebody with an open profile and they respond, you get that open InMail back and you can message somebody else. So it's very important to use these open InMails sparingly, because if you can message somebody as an open InMail and they respond, you get that back. So you completely, you get almost unlimited open InMails if you can constantly hit it out of the park. But as soon as you message somebody and they don't respond, you lose that open InMail. So 200 of those plus or minus per month. And then you'll get 150 premium InMails if you just have a Sales Navigator Plus. If you go to Advanced, I think you get 200 or maybe 150. But no, I think it's 50 with LinkedIn Premium, 150. I don't know what the plans are, but you get my point. So premium InMails are okay. We actually don't really use them. We'll use them sparingly. The open InMails crush, and then the connection requests crush. So my point to you is there's outreach limits. Okay, because those are outreach limits on LinkedIn, we want to make sure every single lead that we reach out to is 100% accurate. At least it's going to be a shot on goal, right? If you're think about you're playing hockey, at least when we shoot, it's going to be, if there's no goalie in the way, it's going to go in, right? So if we want to make sure that we're only sending these to qualified leads, and if you could have your sales team and your BDRs and SDRs spend the manual time to go through and say who's a qualified lead and who's a qualified decision maker, or you can use AI. And that's what we love to do now, okay? Because we're doing this at scale. And so each one of our client campaigns, we do not send a connection request, an InMail, an open InMail to anybody that's unqualified. We're sending it to them. They are a buyer, they are a qualified lead, and all we have to do then is just get them interested, okay? So you have to make sure you do this step, verify it. There's a bunch of automation tools out there. If you have any questions about how we do this, I can maybe do another whole video on our automation stack, because we are probably some of the best out there. And how well you automate right now and personalize based on your automations in a not cheesy way is how successful you're going to be with outreach and moving into this AI age. So that's that. And then 4, so verify each lead. And then 4 is the strategy. Okay. So number 4 is your actual strategy that you're employing. And what we recommend is using personalized video. Okay. I used to say, use a lead magnet, and sometimes I still say that just because we've been talking about it for so long and we've done different lead magnets in the past, but now it's pretty standard to use a personalized video pitch. Anything that you really want to say to a prospect, if you're going to get on a sales call with them, can actually be said in a personalized video pitch, and you should use a personalized video pitch, not to replace a sales call, just to open up that conversation first to get them on a sales call. So using a personalized video pitch as a strategy is so important, because now what happens, it takes your outreach message from you asking them for something, which would be like, hey, does it make sense to do a quick 15-minute call? You're asking them in that scenario for their time, okay? And so you're taking them from that, where you're asking them, hey, can we do a call? Can we book a call? Are you interested in learning more? All this. That to, can I send over a quick video explaining more? Then now in that particular scenario, we're offering more value to them. We're saying, can we send something over? So we're not asking them for something, we're actually asking them permission. And it's a way shorter ask, and we're actually asking if we can send something to them. We're asking if we can give them value. And so that's how we get so many positive responses from your target market, because all we really need is a micro yes, and then have a really kick-ass personalized video pitch. And you just have to constantly be adjusting your pitch. But eventually, you will open up the actual decision maker. You'll get the decision maker to respond after you do. That is literally the name of the game, and that's how we've been able to do this across the board. In 2025, using this strategy alone, we collected for our clients, through our campaigns, our clients collected $3.55 million in revenue. Collected revenue, not contracted revenue. That's cash in our client's bank account right now. 2026, we're going for 10 million in collected revenue. I think we're already at 1 million something, and it's not even 8 days into January. So we're cranking on this, but this strategy works really well. It works really well if you have high ticket deals. A lot of you B2B companies that have a high ticket LTV or deal size, this is for you. Send this to your SDRs, send it to your BDRs. This is exactly what they need to be doing. If you guys have any questions, my website is below, and you can apply to work with us, and we'll get back to you shortly. I'm Ryan Ogren. This is MoneyMake Marketing. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. All right, see you guys.